It seemed to me that weddings were highly overrated. Don't misunderstand. The bride was beautiful, the groom was devastating, and the way they were looking at one another would melt the hardest heart. I wasn't against weddings. However, there was no denying that the ceremony itself was tedious. We'd been sitting in this church for hours, and as the vicar droned on and on, it appeared there was to be no end in sight. I looked down at my fingers, holding my gloves in my lap. I thought I'd managed to remove all the ink stains, but there was a long smudge of sapphire blue down the side of my right hand. As the vicar continued his endless pontificating on the subject of marriage, I tried to rub it away. Surely all this was overdoing things. A brief, "do you, I do," would do the trick just as well. Did the whole congregation really need to hear about how fruitful the vicar hoped the marriage would be? Personally, I thought it bad manners that he was already haranguing the pair of them about procreation, in front of an audience no less, when they had said their marriage vows only moments ago. After all, Iris Scott Holland was only a year older than me. I shuddered at the thought. "Stop fidgeting," my brother Max muttered out of the side of his mouth. "I'm not fidgeting," I whispered back, poking him hard in the side. "I am shuddering." My brother stared straight ahead, utterly unmoved, his expression serene, but on my other side I felt his wife, Izzy, tremble. "Felicity, please don't make me laugh in church," she said in a low voice. "The vicar seems very interested in flesh, doesn't he?" I mused, keeping my own voice to a quiet murmur. "You don't hear people talking about flesh much in company. Strange that it's acceptable in church." Izzy's shoulders shook harder. Further along the pew, in a voice that was a touch too loud, Izzy's best friend Teresa St. Clair asked, "What's the joke?" Max made a sound like an angry cat. I huffed and decided to focus my attention away from this dull scene. I turned my mind instead to harmonic progression and its relation to the particularly knotty mathematical problem that Dr. Volterra at the University of Rome and I had recently corresponded about. This worked a treat, and by the time Nicholas Winter exclaimed, "Finally!" echoing the thoughts of the entire congregation, and kissed his bride with an enthusiasm that sent a ripple of scandalized laughter around the church, I had made a pleasing amount of progress. I would have to make some notes as soon as we got home. A murmur of chatter broke out, and after the bride and groom swept back up the aisle, everyone began to filter out of the small wooden pews.